Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to News Central TV. My name is Mazino Appeal. The top stories this hour. Supreme Court dismisses Rivers State Governor's appeal challenging Amahule-led House of Assembly. And former Vice President Atiku Abubakar in closed-door meeting with former President Olusegun Obasanjo ahead of 2027 election. Niger State authorities order non-governmental organizations to follow junta vision. Details coming up shortly. Welcome again. Now let's begin with court matters. The case involving the leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, has once again stalled at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Presiding Judge Justice Binta Nyako adjourned the trial indefinitely on Monday following Kanu's insistence that she cannot preside over his case after previously recusing herself. Kanu was initially scheduled to appear for a hearing on Monday, February 10, 2025, as stated in a hearing notice addressed to his lead counsel, Aloy Ejimakor. He had earlier requested that his case be transferred to the Southeast if no other judge at the Federal High Court in Abuja was willing to handle it aside from Justice Nyako.
They have shown bias according to Supreme Court. They are biased against me. Supreme Court said so. These things are in the public domain. Why, therefore, are they insisting on trying me? A court order was entered. In that very court order, it was said very clearly and distinctly that she is no more. That she is no more going to try me. Why are they insisting?
So we came here today on a limited appearance. We appeared under protest out of utmost respect for the judge and for the court, to listen to the court as to the reasons why we were invited before the same court that was recused in September last year. Once an order of court is made, the only way you can set it aside is to take it on appeal. Our submission on the record is that the court stands recused until that order is set aside.
The Supreme Court has dismissed the appeal filed by Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara challenging the leadership of the state's House of Assembly under Martin Amahule. A five-man panel had led by Justice Uwani Abaji has ruled on the case, awarding a cost of 2 million naira against Fubara, payable to the Rivers State House of Assembly and Martin Amahule as first and second respondents, respectively. The court's decision follows the withdrawal of the suit by Fubara's counsel, Yusuf Ali. With the ruling, the leadership dispute within the Rivers State House of Assembly has been settled in favor of Amahule's faction. Now, to help us make sense of this, we are joined by legal practitioner Henry Akine. Henry, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon to discuss this matter here. Now, Henry, what constitutional provisions did the Supreme Court reference in dismissing Fubara's appeal, if you'll tell us, please?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. It's not about the Supreme Court considering any constitutional provision, but rather also considering the rules of the courts, the rules of the Supreme Court, that the application by Fubara to withdraw his appeal was premised on. Recall that that's my concern. I think I need to straighten here. It's not quite about the Supreme Court finding the appeal on the merits and then arriving at that decision of dismissal, but is upon the application by Siminalayi Fubara withdrawing his appeal. That is, you simply will file a notice of withdrawal of your appeal or any matter at any level of the court, and then the court will enter the appropriate order of either striking out or dismissal, depending on the stage of the matter. So in this case, I imagine that parties, that is the appellants and the respondents, haven't filed their respective briefs, issues joined. So the application by the appellant to withdraw his appeal will necessarily lead to the dismissal. So the court didn't need to say much, but to grant the order. It's not about referring to any constitutional provision that enable the court to do so, but the rules of the court itself empower the court to make the order of dismissal pursuant to an application or a notice of withdrawal, as it were, in this particular matter.
All right, so notice of withdrawal would be the key point there. But how does this ruling impact the legal standing of the Amaole-led assembly in relation to the other factions within the state legislature?
Oh, very interesting, because this question for me is very apt, drawing from the interpretations that I've been seeing, even the headlines on the media. This matter, I think we need to probably go to the foundation when the suit was originally filed before the Federal High Court. It's important to emphasize here that it was a suit filed by the Rivers State House of Assembly as the first plaintiff and Martin Amaewule as the second. So it is not even a matter of the 27 former law members of the Rivers State House of Assembly with respect to their action of defection from the political party that sponsored them. This is not that matter at all. This particular matter, originally instituted by the Rivers State House of Assembly and Martin Amaewule, just the two of them as the claimants then, as the plaintiff for the Federal High Court, was principally against the National Assembly, seeking the order of the court to restrain the National Assembly from taking over the proceedings or the activities of the Rivers State House of Assembly. That's the fundamental original prayer on this suit before Justice Omotosho then. And then on a motion that they later filed on the 15th or so of December 2023, they brought in the issue of the demolition of the Rivers State House of Assembly, seeking the order of the court to restrain the Rivers State government from further demolition or to interfere with the activities of the Rivers State House of Assembly with respect to having access to the assembly complex. And then they brought in by that motion the issue of appropriation, that is the budget, that had been laid before the Rivers House of Assembly that was led then by Right Honorable Edison Ehie. Recall that when Martin Amaewule filed this suit originally in November, he was still the Speaker of the Rivers House of Assembly, no doubt about that. But he later defected and lost that seat sometime in December. So this matter from the beginning wasn't about the defection, wasn't about the 27 law members. Then it got to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal upheld the decision of Omotosho because at that point, before Omotosho delivered judgment, the defendants have withdrawn all their processes. Then, but because an aspect of the decision of the Court of Appeal in upholding the decision of the judgment of Omotosho was dissatisfying to the governor, and the governor proceeded on appeal to the Supreme Court. And today, he withdrew that appeal. And then the explanation we understood that the counsel to the governor gave was that his appeal has become spent by circumstances. They've moved beyond 2024, where the appropriation bill was in context. About the contestation about the appropriation bill 2024 has become spent.
Now, Mr. Kine.
Our financial year is December 2024, January 2024 to December 2024. So it's just common sense that there was nothing really live to continue to get upon, particularly with respect to that litigation, that appropriation bill. But so for me, it's not quite about whether Martin Amaewule has been reinstated. The Supreme Court never made any pronouncement, contrary to what some have been interpreting and implying on social media. The Supreme Court simply dismissed the appeal because it was withdrawn.
All right. Again, based on that, Mr. Kine, based on that, now I'm still going to ask regarding the withdrawal of the case by the governor and then it being struck out by the court. What exactly was the main reason why the governor withdrew the case?
No, I think the legal team of the governor explained that because there was nothing, if you like, nothing left. There was no live issue left in that appeal, in his consideration and his legal team. It was principally, okay, let me recount some of the reliefs that Amaewule actually sought the court to grant at the original stage, that I mean at the trial stage, such that the court was asked to restrain the National Assembly from taking over the proceedings of the Rivers House of Assembly. And that was preemptive. There was even no live issue. There was no live fact to that effect, even at that time in November 2023. So that's an academic litigation, if you ask me. Secondly, that the Rivers State House of Assembly should not be denied the funds that are appropriated to the Rivers House of Assembly. That for 2024 has become spent. So if the Rivers State House of Assembly has any issue on Martin Amegule for 2025, I believe they can institute a fresh action. Again, the appropriation bill that was passed in the Rivers State House of Assembly that Martin Amegule was challenging, that wasn't before him, has also become spent since 2024. By December 2024, it had become an old appropriation that had lived its lifespan. Appropriation laws are not forever, like probably other legislations. The appropriation law has a lifespan, automatic, from January to December, and it lapses. So it has become a mere academic exercise to remain in the Supreme Court.
All right, Mr. Kine. Now, Mr. Kine, so as it stands right now, who is the legitimate? Is it Amaole or is it Okojumbo as it stands now?
I think there are still matters that are subjudice in that regard, and that's my position. I've always desired to see a day that the Federal High Court that is still exercising jurisdiction over the real matters as to the legitimacy of Martin Amegule, or who really are the members of the Universal House of Assembly. They are still before the Federal High Court. And I tell you, not before the Supreme Court. It's until a trial court decides a matter and a party is dissatisfied and it goes to the Court of Appeal, and then another party is dissatisfied before the Supreme Court will have jurisdiction over that matter. So to the best of my knowledge and the authorities that exist in terms of the decisions of court, Right Honorable Victor Okojumbo is the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. There are 3 members that are remaining in the Rivers State House of Assembly. Unfortunately so, those of us in Rivers State will desire a situation where we quickly conduct election to fill the positions of those vacant constituencies. I mean, the 27 vacant seats in the Rivers State House of Assembly. I also would respect the courts because Martin Amegule has his contestation still in the court to determine whether they ask him and his 26 other colleagues, whether they are still members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, before we even talk about his speakership. So I think for me, we should allow the courts get to the final determination of that very fundamental and crucial issue of the fate of the 27 lawmakers of the Rivers State House of Assembly that defected. I think the Nigerian judiciary and the Rivers State Court and the Federal High Court should come strong and decisive on that matter, perhaps even onto the Supreme Court.
All right, Mr. Kine.
Determine all of these issues around the Rivers State once and for all.
All right. I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Kine, for giving us your expert opinion on the matter. Thank you indeed.
Thank you very much for having me. It's always my pleasure to be on your platform.
Indeed. And now we're going to break, and when we return, Nigerian troops hoist flag in former bandits' enclave after neutralizing 44 terrorists. Details of this and more after the break. Join us then. Welcome back. Now staying with the courts. Governor Sim Fubara of Rivers State has withdrawn his appeal against the appeal court judgment declaring the 2024 budget of the state illegal and ordering him to present the budget to the House of Assembly led by Martin Amaole. The appeal court had upheld the judgment of Justice J.K. Omotosho in suit wherein the court ruled that Governor Fubara should represent the 2024 budgets to the House of Assembly led by Right Honorable Martin Amaole. By this withdrawal, Governor Fubara has accepted the lower and appellate court's judgment declaring presentation of the Rivers State budgets to 3 members of the State House of Assembly as illegal.
Well, with the kind permission of my learned senior chief, Nnamdi Kanu, who led us, SAN, who led us in this matter, for the first and second respondents, that is the Rivers State House of Assembly and Right Honorable Martin Amegule. The appeal by the governor of Rivers State was dismissed by the Supreme Court this morning following the notice of withdrawal by the governor of the appeal he filed. Consequently, the decisions of the Court of Appeal and that of the Federal High Court, presided over by Honorable Justice Omotosho J, affirming that the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by Honorable Martin Amegule, and the other 26 members of the House of Assembly are the authentic members of
that House of Assembly and remains so, and that Martin Amewula is the leader, that is the Speaker of the House of Assembly. So that is the position today, and I must add that the Court of Appeal had admonished and clearly stated.
We now move to security matters in Rivers State, where at least 19 people were feared killed in a renewed court clash in Obele community, Omohua, local government area of Rivers State on Sunday. The violence erupted between the Daybam and Icelanders cult groups, sending residents fleeing for safety. This follows a deadly attack last Wednesday where 7 people were killed by suspected cultists. It was gathered that Sunday's clash began as retaliation, with both groups engaging in a fierce battle for supremacy. Police spokesperson Grace Iringekoko confirmed the incident, linking it to a dispute over levies from an oil company. She stated that 10 people were confirmed dead and an investigation is ongoing. Residents are calling for urgent government intervention. Yet we stay in Rivers State, where demonstrations broke out on Sunday in Omagua community in Ikwere local government area of the state. The demonstrations followed the death of one Chukwuma Egbelu. Rather, that's Chukwuma Egbele, a native of the community who was allegedly shot and killed by a policeman attached to the Omagua division of the Rivers State Police Command. The protesters initially carried the body of the slain youth to the Omagua Divisional Police Station, where they intended to deposit it. They were, however, resisted and repelled by the policemen on ground. They then decided to block the road in protest, causing heavy gridlock on the busy highway which leads to the airport and to Owerri, Imo State. When contacted, the spokesperson of the command, Superintendent Grace Iringekoko, said the command is aware of the situation. She said the corpse of the slain youth has been deposited at the morgue, while the police officers involved have been detained pending an investigation into the incident. Earlier on, our correspondent Austin Azu visited the community and spoke to the wife of the deceased.
At the family house of Matthew Chukwuma Egbele, the 35-year-old man and the father of 6 whose life was cut short yesterday by the police bullets. However, the mood at this family house seems to be very moody, and everyone seems to be at sorrowful state, and the cloud is quite heavy here at the compound here. I have the wife of late Maxwell Egbele, Mrs. Doris Egbele. Please tell us, how do you feel? What happened yesterday?
That fateful night, I was in the kitchen with my husband. He said he wanted to eat. So I was about to dish food for him when we heard policemen, their sound. I went to the window and peeped. I said, policemen are around, what is it? He said, policemen. I said, yes. He went to the backyard door, which is at the kitchen, and used his body to hold the door. Me, I went to the window and said, sir, please, I was talking to the policeman. Sir, please, what happened? What is the problem? What happened? They said I should go to the room. I should go and bring key and open the door. I said, how will I open that? I don't know your faces. What happened? And I met my husband in the kitchen. I said, I called him. I said, policemen are here. They said I should open. They said I should not open the door. I should not open the door. They were pushing the door. The policemen were pushing the door, hitting the door with stone, with pillars, many things they use and be hitting the door. So when he was tired of holding the door, he put his hand in his pocket and gave me 5,000. Inside the 5,000, he collected 2,000 and gave me his phone that he's going to follow through the pigeonhole and go outside. So when he passed through the pigeonhole to go outside, one policeman, which I know his face, started shouting, fire, shoot him down, shoot him down, shoot him. I was begging, sir, please don't shoot. Sir, please don't shoot. Sir, please don't shoot. We'll settle this matter. As soon as the man said shoot it, the other man shoot the gun. That was when they came to the front protector and said I should open the door.
Back to security stories now. Nigerian troops said they have reclaimed former bandit strongholds in Zamfara state, hoisting the national flag in a major counterinsurgency victory. During a series of coordinated offensives, troops of Operation Hadin Daji claimed to have neutralized 44 terrorists, dismantling camps and recovering weapons. Military sources say the troops engaged in fierce battles, successfully disrupting criminal activities. The hoisting of the Nigerian flag symbolizes a renewed push to restore peace and security in the northeast. Authorities say clearance operations will continue to prevent bandits from regrouping. The Nigerian army said it remains committed to eliminating threats and ensuring lasting stability in the region. And away from that, the Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, has called for the death penalty for individuals dealing in fake drugs, especially when their action leads to deaths. Speaking at an event, Adeyeye described drug peddlers as merchants of death and stressed that harsher punishments were needed to curb the menace. She criticized lenient penalties, citing cases where offenders importing harmful drugs like high-dose tramadol receive only minor fines or short jail terms. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has urged the Attorney General to propose tougher sanctions, including the death penalty for counterfeit drug producers. Lawmakers also called for increased funding and resources for NAFDAC and other regulatory agencies to improve enforcement. We'll be having a discussion on that shortly. Now to politics. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has met with former President Olusegun Obasanjo in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Atiku arrived at Obasanjo's residence located on the premises of the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library early Monday afternoon, accompanied by the former governors of Sokoto and Cross River State, namely Senators Aminu Tambuwa and Aloy Ejimakor. Several other prominent politicians from the northern region are also said to be in attendance. Upon arrival, Atiku and members of his entourage were received at Obasanjo's residence by Elder Oyewole Fasewe before they all went straight into a private meeting with Obasanjo, who had been waiting for his visitors. Away from that now, Nigeria's federal government has assured of the completion of the Abuja-Kano dual carriage highway and the corridor totaling about 375 kilometers in the next 14 months. This was as the Minister of Works, David Umahi, paid a visit to several sections of the road which are currently being renovated. Amadine Uyi here compiled this report.
The 375-kilometer road stretches from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, to Kano. With the road recently awarded by the Federal Executive Council, the Minister of Works, David Umahi, visited the road for an on-the-spot assessment.
We are in Section 1, and you are aware that Section 1 and 3, Section 1 starting from FCT, and then stretch over the Niger State towards Kaduna, 38 kilometers by 2, and Section 3 in Kano, stretching to the Aminu Kano International Airport, as directed by Mr. President. And so, the Federal Executive Council on Monday, this week, graciously awarded the construction of these two sections to InfoWest Nigeria Limited, and they have commenced work.
He says that the visit was to meet with the contractors to finalize the ministry's obligations to enable the work go on smoothly.
We are not here essentially to check the volume of work done, but we are here on a side meeting to agree on the level of mobilization. I would agree that in the entire 38 stretch, using one carriageway, this carriageway that is, Kaduna bound, they will concentrate on that, and they will ensure that by the end of February, the entire earthwork is being completed on this carriageway. And by March 1st, we will come back to flag off the concrete pavement.
The minister further adds that the inspection has given the ministerial team an assessment of the challenges on the road and steps needed to solve them.
We've noticed a number of amendments we are going to do on the road to make it most durable. We noticed that we have a lot of depression beyond the field shoulders. And so the PAM Secretary has been directed on what to do, to get separate consultants and they have a team of the contractor, the consultant, and Ministry of Works to run through the entire stretch of the 38 kilometer and they give us what is best to solve this problem of differential between the field shoulder, outer shoulder, and the adjoining premises. We are very confident that this job will be completed in 14 months starting from the 1st of February.
He adds that solar lights will be installed along the road corridor with closed-circuit television cameras to ensure adequate surveillance of the road. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
So education matters now. Beg your pardon. In Nigeria's northeast, ravaged by years of terrorist activities, the Borno state government says it has trained over 1,000 primary school teachers across 19 local government education authorities. The government says the capacity building training is aimed at improving teaching standards and enhancing the quality of education. News Central's Umaru Kirawa completes this report.
With available statistics having over 2,000 teachers murdered, over 19,000 displaced in Borno, Yobe and Adamawa between 2009 and 2018, Nigeria's northeast grapples to meet up with the devastation caused by insurgency. Focused on improving teaching methodologies, digital literacy and curriculum updates to meet contemporary educational standards, Borno state government has engaged teachers towards boosting its primary school education system.
We will impart the knowledge to the students and the pupils, and then too we achieve and benefit what we, the teachers, have achieved also.
Chairman Sidin de Borno, Chairman Nasler de Done Kre Kanuri, Diana Kamakudi Konda, Daileniero, Wallonama, Adan de Futukorma, and Washikla Kamar Gote Ruma. Ruma na gote lenya adan den seya allemye chairman course ndembe shiro cultural and creative asset Broman Bay.
Stakeholders in the education sector emphasize the importance of continuous professional development for educators to adapt to new learning strategies, particularly as the state recover from insurgency.
This is phase 4. We have a phase 5 in March, inshallah, in view, and a phase 6 for those who are attending the regular NCE program. But after phase 5, we will declare that Borno has gone beyond unqualified teachers.
We have to also take on undertaking that no single teacher will be dismissed during this exercise. And Alhamdulillah, up to date, they have not deviated from this agreement up to this moment, because those that have failed are the ones that are receiving these pressure courses.
Please go back to the classroom and teach our pupils and teach the learners. You are here, like Babambola said, you have been receiving a lot. Your salary has been moving. Minimum wage has been implemented. Please go back to the class and teach our learners. Are you promising that?
One major issue raised is the persistent absenteeism of teachers, which the government says it will handle. In Bama for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Coming up, Niger public authorities order non-governmental organizations to follow junta vision. This and more coming up shortly after the break. And you're welcome back. Now, Niger's military authorities have ordered non-governmental organizations to align their activities with the strategic vision of the junta that seized power in a 2023 coup. The move came a few days after the authorities ordered the international community of the Red Cross to leave the country, while other NGOs were banned in recent months. The Interior Ministry had set up a technical committee to monitor NGOs to ensure that they follow the strategic paths of the vision of the military leader, General Abdurrahman Tiani. The stated priorities include strengthening security and social cohesion, developing the basis of a production for economic sovereignty, and the promotion of good governance. Now, the civil organization Afri Forum has called the treason allegations by Nkumto Nsiswe baseless. This reaction comes following MK opened a case of treason against the organization in Cape Town on Monday, and the announcement by the South African National Civic Organization today that it will open a similar case against AfriForum and other organizations later this week. According to Cali Creole, CEO of AfriForum, the charges are absurd and will not cause sleepless nights. He further said it is the duty of civil society and organizations such as AfriForum to shine a light on legislation and actions that threaten the welfare of citizens and the country. He said they cannot keep quiet about the injustice that is being committed at the expense of South Africa, its citizens, and the South African economy. Now, to help us unpack this, we're joined by the Chief Executive Officer, AfriForum, Cali Creole himself. Cali, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Yes, thank you so much. It's a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you. Now, Cali, let's start with first things first. What is your reaction to the treason charges that have been laid by not only the MK party, but we also saw other organizations taking the same route, and Sanko says it will follow suit as well?
Well, I think in your introduction, you said most in the sense that we're not going to have any sleepless nights. We believe there's no basis for this. But let me then rather go and see what are the root causes. Why are they doing this? And unfortunately, we've seen in South Africa a government that does not want to take responsibility for the negative results of their own irresponsible behavior. But in MK's case, of course, their leader is former President Zuma. So it's quite ludicrous for them to do it, because if you look at the responsibility that MK's leader should take is for how he destroyed the country's economy through corruption. We've had state capture in the country. That meant many of our state institutions collapsed through corruption. Eskom, SAA, Denel, Transnet, all these major companies, because the state coffers was stolen empty. So if there is indeed any disloyalty to any people of a country, it is to plunder the state coffers so that the poor are negatively affected. So I think it's it's actually irony that those that want to accuse us is of course a party led by former President Zuma. Then, of course, also in terms of the ANC, under the ANC-led government, and they're also making these allegations, and Sanko is part of the alliance with the ANC. But it's the ANC that has driven this country not to be in good relationships with other African countries. It's the ANC that has not been able to tackle corruption. It's the ANC who has, after the Zondo Commission, where that commission report showed who were the corrupt people, those people are simply not charged. 97 of them are ANC members, and only 34 of that 97 was before the Integrity Committee of the ANC, not even charged. That is disloyal to South Africa.
Cali, South Africans feel that AfriForum has caused damage to the country. Do you agree with this? And to add to this, we now have seen tensions between US and South Africa. Do you think going to the US in 2018 to talk about your country's affairs was the right thing to do?
Well, let me just state that it's not South Africans that feel aggravated by us. It's the political elite in South Africa. In terms of the normal people in the country, we have working relationships with many traditional communities, joint projects. What we have done in the US, but also our discussions with many countries, is to say we have the interest of our country at heart. So what we will do is these international governments has an ability to at least speak to the South African government, especially when we have a government here that simply ignores discussions with them. We don't even discuss. We wrote to the president with regard to the Expropriation Act. He did not answer. We were in negotiations with the Bella Act that targets one of our indigenous languages, Afrikaans, and we were treated with disdain. So we cannot be blamed for what has gone wrong.
Well, Kali Creel, I want to say thank you very much for joining us this afternoon to give us your experience on the matter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you. Now, President Donald Trump has said he will announce a 25% import tax on all steel and aluminum entering the U.S., a move that will have the biggest impact in Canada. Speaking aboard Air Force One, Trump said on Monday he would announce tariffs on everybody for steel and aluminum. Trump also said that there would be an announcement later in the week about reciprocal tariffs on all countries that tax imports from the U.S., but he did not specify which nations would be targeted or if there would be any exemptions. Canada and Mexico are two of the U.S. biggest steel trading partners, and Canada is the biggest supplier of aluminum metals into the U.S.
Steel tariffs on Monday.
Tomorrow?
Monday, yeah, tomorrow.
What countries will those go on?
Everybody. Steel.
Including Canada and Mexico?
Yeah. Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum too.
10%?
No, 25%.
And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has described a proposal from President Donald Trump for U.S. control of Gaza and the displacement of its population as revolutionary. Trump sparked global outrage by suggesting on Tuesday, during a week-long visit by the Israeli Prime Minister to the United States, that Washington should take control of the Gaza Strip and clear out its inhabitants. On his return to Israel, Netanyahu said the two allies agreed on war aims set out by Israel at the start of its 15-month war against Hamas, including ensuring Gaza no longer poses a threat to Israel. Despite criticisms from international allies and Arab states in particular, Trump on Thursday doubled down on the plan, saying the Gaza Strip would be turned over to the United States by Israel at the conclusion of fighting. And for more on this, I'm joined by our international correspondent, Afia Hagen. Afia, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us again. Now, Afia, do tell us, what is the latest on the trade war with China and the rest of the world?
Well, as we heard, Trump has said that he's going to introduce 25% tariffs on imports of aluminium and steel. Now, it's worth noting that he actually did this during his first term, and this it lasted for a year. So it was 25% on steel imports and 10% on aluminium imports from Canada, Mexico, and the European Union. And then it was figured out that actually this was not going to be beneficial, and the import tariffs went away. We're not sure if this is something again this time around that can be negotiated. Now, this time last week, he put a 10% tariff on imports from China, and China retaliated and did the same thing, said that they would put a 10% tariff, on US coal, on LNG, that's liquefied natural gas, and 10% for crude oil, equipment, some cars, some farm equipment as well. And those tariffs come into play today. Now, the European Union gave some reaction to these potential new tariffs that are coming into place. And they said that they see no justification for the imposition of these tariffs on exports. And they also said that we will react to protect the interests of European businesses, workers and consumers from unjustified measures.
What about his comments on the Gaza Strip, doubling down on what he said from last week, which raised international eyebrows? Anything more on that?
Yes, raised more than a few international eyebrows. Now, President Trump was on board Air Force One yesterday, and that's when he spoke about it again. I assume he was on his way to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. And when he spoke about it, he said that the United States is committed to buying and owning Gaza and turning it into a real estate site. He said, as for us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our are auspicious, he said, but we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back to. The place is a demolition site. The remainder will be demolished. Now, I think, again, this is causing outrage because it's more than a real estate site. This is a homeland for millions of Palestinian people, but it's also a place where millions of people, or thousands of people, have lost their lives. So not just a real estate site, as he put it. And yes, he said the US is committed to buying it, but it's not for sale.
Musk also continues to work closely with Elon. He continues to work closely with Elon Musk. What can we expect Musk to do next?
Well, yes, Elon Musk is still seeming to be at the heart of government. He is determined to be shutting down sections of the US government. And then this is raising lots of concerns about transparency, about legality. USAID was the target of last week. This week it could be the Department of Education. Now, Musk's unofficial department, the Department of Government Efficiency, is examining spending in the military and saying it could shut down the Department of Education in the next 24 hours. And so, yes, Elon Musk, through President Trump and enabled by President Trump, empowered by President Trump, is continuing this kind of war on all these government departments, shutting them down, he says, for cost cutting, but putting thousands of people out of jobs and really, ruining America's soft power, its place on the international stage, and its reputation as a democratic country.
All right. Well, Afia, I want to say thank you very much for joining us this afternoon again. Now let's go on a short break. When we come back, we've got business and some sports. Stay tuned. Welcome back again. Now, with the potential postponement of the MPC meeting, attention is focused on Nigeria's unreleased rebased CPI figures. The delay raised questions about its causes and potential effect on policy decisions. Segun Shopita, principal partner at Woodridge and Scott Consulting, has shared his insight regarding the absence of the rebased figures.
A simple way to explain this would be to associate it with the leapfrogging Africa had a few years ago with mobile phones. So we literally went from Niger, where you had to travel for phone calls, to...
I think we're all kind of, wondering what's keeping this. It's not the first time that we're having a rebasing exercise. And I actually don't recall any dislocations resulting from that. The NBS is a data gathering institution, and by virtue of that, you would expect that planning and organization is supposed to be one of their core strengths. It's one of their core competencies. So if you're having a rebasing exercise, surely before you even announced it to the public, you've crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's. You've got all your bases covered in terms of the things that need to happen. All of it, it's a lot of work. You're basically, changing a lot of templates. You're adding a lot of new information, and so on and so on.
And that's as much as we can take for this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories that we brought your way. The Supreme Court has dismissed Rivers State Governor's appeal challenging a morally led House of Assembly. And former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is in closed-door meeting with former President Olusegun Obasanjo ahead of 2027 election. We also told you that Niger state authorities have ordered non-governmental organizations to follow junta vision. Do remember now, you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Able TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.